Are you infected by my smile yet? Today I thought it would be good to talk about critiquing other people's stories and writings of whatever kind. This is actually a great topic to talk about because this is not just for writers, this is for anybody, because if you're just friends with a writer and you're not necessarily a writer yourself, you might be handed a story from one of your friends and then you'll be forced to kind of critique it. Not kinda, just you actually you'll have to kind of critique it. I said kinda again. You just have to critique it. It's not really enough just to say that it's good or it needs improvement. You kind of have to give the specifics of what needs improvement, because just saying it's good and just saying it's not good is not good. And I firmly believe that no story is completely perfect, especially if it's a first draft. If they've edited it and edited it, but still, there's always room for improvement. So when your friend decides to hand you a story of theirs or a piece of writing, I will hope that you will consider these 3 tips that I have before you actually dive into that story. Tip number 1, in general, don't be mean. Avoid saying things like, I don't like this, or just don't say that you don't like something in the story. And avoid saying that you didn't like the story at all, because you are going to make someone cry, and then they're gonna jump off a cliff or something. Or even worse, they're gonna stop writing. Okay, no, that's not worse. Instead of saying that you don't like something in a story, tell them what didn't work, because that'll be much less opinionated and it will not come off as that you didn't like the entire story, and it won't come off as mean. It will just be somewhat neutral and it will still constructively help them without getting their feelings hurt. Tip number 2 is to try not to be super duper opinionated about someone's story. Workshopping a story, synonymous with critiquing, is very much opinionated in a way, because you kind of are giving your opinion on what you think will work and what won't, but just try to keep them down to a more suggestion rather than, hey, I'm a super duper preachy religious person trying to push my religion on you. Does that make sense? I sure hope it did. That was weird. This can also be a point about keeping like your opinions and beliefs about whatever you view out of your critique of a story, because it is their story. They put whatever message in there, and if you disagree with something that happened in it, try not to make that part of your critique, because they had their own trajectory for the story, and your high self-righteous opinions, maybe not self-righteous, but your strong opinions could potentially offend somebody like that. So essentially just keep those kind of opinions out of it and just critique their story on whether something works or doesn't. My 3rd tip, and the last kind of tip, is to read the story. No, really, I'm telling you this because this has happened before, and it blew my mind when I heard this, because why would you even give tips in what could work and what won't on a story that you haven't even read? Someone reached out to you with this story that they really want help with, and if you are just going to ignore it and then tell them what should be done to fix it, doesn't that just kind of make you look like a big douchebag? Just saying. As far as tips goes, that's kind of all I have, but if you need like a sort of model to like write up a critique for somebody, the thing I like to use, which I actually learned from one of my professors, is to first kind of summarize the story in your own words, what you thought the plot was about. This can kind of give the writer, the author of the story, some feedback as to what people thought it was about, and if that wasn't what they were aiming for, then they can kind of figure out what was wrong with their story that didn't make people interpret it that way, and then they can kind of alter things, or maybe they wanted to interpret it their own way and people just don't understand, though. no matter what, this can still help. In the next paragraph, you can say what worked in the story. Certain characters were developed well, the plot flowed nicely, it was good pacing, stuff like that. And in the last paragraph, you just say what needs to be improved, like maybe a character was kind of flat, needs to be more rounded out, maybe a character's dialogue wasn't really realistic, maybe the setting needed to be more incorporated, etc., etc. So I helped you kind of get a feel for what you should do when you are critiquing someone's story and how to critique it to the fullest. Because in a creative writing workshop setting, like in a class, some of these things will not fly. So thanks for watching. Like this video if you liked it. Subscribe to my channel. I put out new videos every Tuesday. And oh my god, my brain is dead. It's gone. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you next Tuesday.